Well, first of all, I mean, thanks to the VC Lab team and to, I mean, Mike and Adeo and everyone else there. The amount of work that it goes into that, that goes into every cohort at VC Lab. It's just, and the fact that, without taking money, it's inspiring to see that people like when they hit a certain stage of their career, kind of wanting to get back. For us, like, it's what an interesting journey it's been over really like the last year and a half. It's so crazy to think that our career paths have now led us to venture capital of all things. So my co-founder and I, Mike Morris, and we've been doing startups for, I guess, nearly 20 years now. And we're always on the other side of the table as operators. And I had started two companies that each of them got acquired and was very much wanting to start a third. And it was through that process that we kind of accidentally started an accelerator. Like Mike and I were looking for a next thing to do, not making a ton of progress because it's, like our lives were too comfortable. We were like, too many distractions and everything. But we know what we needed. We needed to kind of get away somewhere, remove all the distractions. We needed to be able to focus and be surrounded by other really smart, creative people. And most importantly is we needed a deadline. And because like the deadlines are magical, they force you to really just focus on the things that are the most important there. And so that's we ran our first event. It was back in November 2022, and it was in Lodi, which is about 2.5 hour drive away, middle of nowhere. We got 18 people there, and then they ended up forming up into teams, and then 5 startups came out of that first event. And so that was pretty exciting. So we just kept running more and more of these events, and eventually, and so now we've run 10 of these so far. We had 42 companies form out of these events. And like very uniquely around this, we decided to make it a nonprofit. Like we don't take any equity in the companies because you want to just focus on quality, like put the best quality people together, which really differentiated us like compared to any of the other programs out there. And it meant that we could attract the very best of the best, right? And I think there's actually like quite a few parallels between like what we're doing at Inception and also with VC Lab, in terms of not, in many programs there's kind of adverse selection problem where it's like, well, the very best people, it's like, well, I don't want to take your deal, I don't want to give up points, or I don't want to give up, have to pay a lot of money to join your program, etc. So that's why we don't ask for any, to start with. And I think what had happened was that we ended up developing really great relationships with many of those founders, and they went on to, it turns out when you put really great people together and then they who are all ready to start companies, they end up starting companies, and those companies end up doing well. And so this and now we're kind of now we're as we're making this transition and like looking towards hey, potentially like making investments and such, like these are it's a very exciting time to be here, like in the Gen AI space here in the Bay Area, with so many exciting entrepreneurs, so many great ideas. I also teach in the computer science department at Stanford. There's a like the course that I taught in the last quarter has just been like it filled up faster than any other course I've seen at Stanford, right? And I mean, it's now is really the time to build in this area. It's like generative AI unlocks so many opportunities, not only commercial opportunities, but also new ways of building startups or even running VCs. In fact, I mean, I think this is like the VC itself is primed for disruption because of generative AI. And these like the startups and industries are all cyclical. I remember 2008, 2009, 2010. That was another time where it was kind of just a little, like an economic downturn challenges there, but so many great companies started during those years, and I'm convinced that there's going to be another set of great companies starting now. They're starting now that, like, if you're trying to catch that next wave, like now's the time to invest. Also, I mean, I'm really happy around like VC Lab's just commitment to diversity. I mean, just props to the VC Lab team there. We're also very strong believers in the value that diversity brings to teams, and and the reality of it is if you want to improve things in the future, where right now it's like a very small fraction of people women are getting either investment or kind of are making those decisions at the partner level. The place to do that is like at places like VC Lab, by making sure that there's a great representation there, and then that when you fast forward and 5 years, 10 years from now, who are going to be the leaders of the industry? It's the people that are in these programs. So like these and so like having a great commitment to diversity there is really I mean, it's not only like a good thing to do, but it's also, I mean, it makes a ton of sense because the best teams are always the most the ones that are able to bring multiple different perspectives and different opportunities together. And so like I think that that has also been great in VC Lab. So just to sum up, like we had an amazing experience going through it. I mean, props to the whole team. We had learned so much like going through this the whole program, and I highly encourage this for anybody who's considering some looking into starting a fund as a first time or emerging manager.